Dr. Teo walked slowly through the dark corridors of the Grand Galactic Museum. His hands held a data scanner that glowed with soft blue light. Around him were walls covered with strange objects from thousands of years of space history. The museum was very old and very famous. Scientists from all over the galaxy came here to learn about the past. Teo had been working in the museum for 15 years. He was an expert in finding old things and understanding their stories. Today, he was exploring Section Theta, a part of the museum that had only recently been opened. The ancient storage rooms had been locked and forgotten for many centuries. When workers finally opened them, they found dust and darkness, but also many mysteries waiting to be discovered. As Teo moved deeper into Section Theta, his scanner began to show interesting signals. The readings told him that something old and important was hidden beneath the floor. He carefully removed the dust and dirt using special tools. After 2 hours of slow and careful work, he discovered a metal container. The container was made from a material called carbon polymer, which was very strong and could last for thousands of years without breaking. Teo could not believe what he saw. The container was not just old. The scanner said it was over 50,000 years old. Nothing human had ever been found from that time. According to all the records, humans had only started traveling in space 7,000 years ago. Everything before that time was lost to history. This container should not exist. With shaking hands, Teo opened the container carefully. Inside, preserved perfectly as if it had been made yesterday, was an environmental suit. The suit was designed to protect a person in places where they could not normally survive. It had a strong metal exterior that shined with a golden light. The suit was beautiful and strange, made with technology that Teo could not immediately understand. But the most important thing was the symbol on the suit's chest. It was an emblem that showed a phoenix, a magical bird that never dies, rising above a crescent moon. Around the phoenix were symbols that looked like ancient writing. The design was complex and meaningful. Teo recognized the style immediately. This was a human family crest, the kind families used thousands of years ago on Earth to show their honor and their history. Teo sat down on the floor, his mind racing. A family crest meant this was not just any suit. This belonged to someone important, someone from a human family. But who? And why was it here, buried and forgotten for 50,000 years? He looked more carefully at the wrist section of the suit. There was a display panel made from a material like glass, and words were etched into it. The words were in English, the ancient language that humans had spoken before they spread across the galaxy. The words said, "Park me son, Commander, Colonial Fleet 1. Teo stood up quickly. He had to tell someone about this. He had to tell Dr. Ji Woo. She was the smartest person he knew about human history and human families. If anyone could understand this mystery, it would be her. He carefully placed the suit back in the container and locked it with security codes. Then he sent an urgent message through the museum's communication system. Within minutes, his communication device buzzed. Ji Woo was on her way. While he waited, Teo could not stop thinking about what he had found. A suit with a human family name, a suit that was older than human space travel itself, a phoenix rising over a crescent moon. These were powerful symbols. These meant something very important. But what? Dr. Ji Woo arrived 30 minutes later. She was tall and moved with the confidence of someone who had studied and worked very hard her entire life. Her eyes were sharp and intelligent. She was the best historian of human culture and family lines in the entire galaxy. She had written many books about human families and their importance in history. When Teo showed her the suit and pointed to the family crest, Ji Woo's face became very pale. She did not speak for almost a full minute. She just stared at the phoenix and the crescent moon. Finally, she whispered, "This is impossible." "What?" Teo asked. "What is it?" Jiwoo pointed to the crest with a shaking finger. This is the Kim family crest, but look here at the modifications to the design. This specific version was used by the Park family in ancient Korea. The Parks married into the Kim line in the year 2045. My family, she said slowly, my bloodline descends directly from this connection. I have a copy of this exact crest in my personal records at home. Teo felt the importance of this moment. Are you saying that the person who wore this suit is related to you? I am saying, Jiwoo replied quietly, that this suit belonged to my ancestor. And she was named Commander Park Mi-sun. But according to every record I have ever studied, Park Mi-sun died on Earth in the year 2089. She was a scientist and an explorer, but she died before she could travel to the stars. That is what the history books say. Teo looked at the suit again. The suit was so perfect, so well made. It was not broken or damaged. Someone had taken care of it. Someone had put it in this container and hidden it in the museum. But why? We need to run tests, Teo said. We need to understand this suit. We need to know who put it here and when. Jiwoo nodded, but her eyes remained fixed on the phoenix crest. She reached out and touched the metal surface very gently, as if touching something holy and sacred. There is a story here, she said softly, a story that has been hidden for 50,000 years. And I think this suit is going to tell us the truth about our people. I think this is going to change everything we know about human history. Neither of them could have known how right she was. That night, as Teo locked the museum's section Theta, he looked back at the suit one more time. It seemed to shine brighter now in the darkness, as if it was waiting to tell its secrets. The phoenix on its chest seemed to glow with ancient power. Somewhere in the galaxy, the truth about humanity's past was beginning to wake up, and it would soon change the fate of every human being alive. Dr. Jiwoo sat in the research center for the 7th straight day without sleeping. Her eyes were red and tired, but her mind was sharp. Papers and data screens covered the entire table in front of her. She had been searching through historical records since the discovery of the suit, and what she had found made her heart race with excitement and fear. The government had given her special permission to access the deepest archives. These were records that were normally kept secret. Most people did not know these records even existed. They were locked away in secure vaults and protected by codes that only the highest officials knew. But Teo had used his position at the museum to request access, and after many hours of paperwork, they had been allowed to see. What Jiwoo found shocked her completely. There were records of a project that had been hidden from public knowledge for over 5,000 years. The project was called the Primordial Arc. It was a secret plan to send humans to space and create colonies on distant worlds. But here was the strange part. This project had happened long before the official first human space colony. The official record said that humans first left Earth to build colonies in the year 2137. But the Primordial Arc project had launched in the year 2087. That was 50 years earlier. Why had this been hidden? Jiwoo read through the classified documents with growing amazement. The Primordial Arc was not a government project. It was funded by rich and powerful families who had kept it secret from the public. These families believed that humanity needed to spread out among the stars, and they did not want to wait for the government to make a decision. They used their money and influence to build ships and gather scientists and brave people to join the mission. The record showed that the project had 3 main fleet groups. Each group had massive ships filled with thousands of colonists. They carried scientists, engineers, farmers, doctors, and soldiers. They also carried advanced technology that seemed impossible for that time period. How had families in the year 2087 created technology so advanced? The documents did not explain this clearly. One name appeared again and again in the documents: Commander Park Mi-sun. She had been chosen as the leader of one of the 3 fleets. Her fleet was called Colonial Fleet 1, and she had been responsible for 5,000 colonists and 12 large ships. The documents described her as a brilliant strategist and a brave leader. She was also kind to her people and made sure that everyone had what they needed to survive the long journey through space. But then, the document said, something went wrong. The records became less clear at this point. There were mentions of a massive solar storm near the Kepler region of space. There were references to strange gravitational forces and something that the old documents called a cosmic rupture. Whatever happened, all three fleets suddenly lost contact with Earth. The official announcement said that all the ships had been destroyed. The official report said it was a terrible tragedy. There were funerals and remembrances. The families of the colonists mourned their lost loved ones. But the documents Jiwoo was reading told a different story. In a section marked, "Classified not for public knowledge," there was a single sentence that changed everything. Preliminary evidence suggests that the fleet survived the cosmic event, but have been separated from Earth permanently. Return is impossible. The fate of the colonists is unknown. That sentence had been written in the year 2088. And for the next 5,000 years, the government had hidden the truth. They had let people believe that the colonists had all died. They had kept this secret locked away in these vaults, never telling anyone what they suspected. Jiwoo printed out all the documents she could find. She organized them by date and by importance. Then she called Teo and asked him to meet her at the secure research facility. She had something important to show him. When Teo arrived, Jiwoo explained what she had discovered. She told him about the primordial arc and about the fleets that had disappeared. She showed him the documents about Commander Park Mi-sun. She explained that the suit they had found belonged to someone who should have been dead for 50,000 years, according to official history. But what if she was not dead? Teo said slowly, understanding what Jiwoo was suggesting. What if the suit was protected in some special way? What if she went into some kind of sleep like cryogenic suspension? Then she would still be alive, Jiwoo whispered. Or at least, she could have been alive. And if the colonists survived, then they created their own civilizations somewhere in the galaxy. They lived for 50,000 years without any contact with Earth. Teo and Jiwoo looked at each other. The implications were massive. If the colonists had survived and created their own societies, then there could be billions of humans living on other worlds. Humans who did not know that Earth still existed. And those humans would have developed their own cultures, their own governments, their own ways of living. "We need to study the suit more carefully," Teo said. "There might be records inside it. There might be an AI core or some kind of data storage system." Jiwoo nodded. "And we need to be very careful about who we tell. If the government kept this secret for 5,000 years, they will not be happy that we found it." Over the next weeks, Jiwoo and Teo worked together in the secure facility. They brought in specialized equipment to examine the suit. They were extremely careful to follow all the safety rules. They took pictures of every part of the suit. They measured the materials and studied the design. Finally, in the suit's central control panel, they found it. A small device that contained the AI core. It was dormant, switched off by a safety system that had preserved it for 50,000 years. With great care and nervousness, they activated it. The air in the laboratory began to glow with soft light. A holographic image appeared before them. It was a woman in a commander's uniform. She had kind eyes and a strong face. She looked like she could be a relative of Jiwoo, the same shape of the face, the same color of the eyes. "My name is Commander Park Mi-sun," the hologram said in a voice that echoed across 50,000 years of time. "If you are seeing this message, it means that I have finally slept long enough to come home." The hologram began to tell a story that would change human history forever. Jiwoo held Teo's hand as they listened. Tears ran down her face. She was finally meeting her ancestor, separated by an impossible distance of time, but connected by blood and by family. Whatever came next, she knew that the universe would never be the same again. The holographic image of Commander Park Mi-sun stood in the center of the laboratory. The projection was clear and bright, and though it was only light and data, it seemed to have presence and importance. The image moved naturally, and when it spoke, the voice carried emotion and memory from 50,000 years in the past. "My name is Park Mi-sun," the hologram began again. "These recordings were made across many decades as we tried to survive and build new homes far from Earth. If you are watching this, then our experiment in reaching across the stars has finally worked. We have been discovered. Home has finally learned that we survived." The hologram walked slowly around the laboratory as if it remembered what a real body felt like. "I know that you have questions. I know that the official records probably said we were all destroyed. That is what we expected. When we lost contact with Earth, when the cosmic storm separated us forever from home, we knew that they would assume we were dead. We left no hope for them. We did not want them to send more ships that would also be lost in the cosmic barrier." Jiwoo and Teo watched without moving. They did not want to miss a single word. "I am recording these messages because I want future humans to know the truth. I want you to understand what we became after we were separated from Earth. We did not simply survive. We became something new. We became bridges between worlds." The hologram showed images that played across the laboratory walls. They showed enormous ships traveling through space. They showed humans standing on alien worlds with strange red or purple skies. They showed humans building cities on planets where the gravity was different, where the air was different, where everything was new and strange and dangerous. "When we first arrived at our destinations," the hologram continued, "we thought we were alone. We thought we would be the only intelligent beings on these worlds, but we were wrong. There were many intelligent species already living among the stars. Some were peaceful and wanted to trade with us. Some were hostile and tried to destroy us, but all of them were surprised to discover humans. The recording showed meetings between humans and aliens. There were beings with purple skin and 8 arms. There were creatures made of pure energy. There were tall beings with transparent skin. And in every recording, the humans seemed to understand how to communicate. The humans seemed to know how to work together with creatures that were completely different from themselves. "Humans have a gift," the hologram said. "A gift that we did not understand until we met other species. We can adapt. We can learn. We can see similarities even when everything seems different. When we met the Talvasi, a species of beings made of silicon and living in underground caves, we did not fear them. We learned how they thought. We found ways to help them, and they helped us. When we met the Kethri, beings of pure mathematics and logic, we created new ways to speak their language. And they taught us things about the universe that we never could have learned alone." The images showed human scientists working with alien scientists. They showed human engineers teaching alien engineers how to build better machines. They showed human artists sharing music and stories with aliens who had never experienced such things before. "Over thousands of years," the hologram continued, "we humans became known throughout the galaxy as the bridge species. We were the ones who could connect with anyone. We were the ones who could solve problems that others could not. We were the ones who created technology by bringing together ideas from many different civilizations. Other species began to call us the greatest unifiers, though we never knew they said this." Teo turned to Jiwoo. "Do you understand what this means?" he asked. "The humans in our galactic community, the ones we thought were just like any other species, they might all be descendants of these colonists. We thought they were just normal citizens, but they were actually the descendants of humans who shaped civilizations." "But they forgot," Jiwoo said sadly. They forgot where they came from. They forgot about Earth. They forgot about us. "We did not forget," the hologram said, and somehow it seemed to speak directly to them, as if Commander Mi-sun had known that they would have this conversation. The knowledge was there, hidden in our cultures and our ways of thinking. The way we build bridges instead of walls. The way we help others even when it is difficult. The way we see possibility in every problem. These things are human. These things are in our DNA, in our deepest nature. Our descendants may not have known the exact history, but they carried our values forward across 50,000 years. The hologram showed one final recording. It was of Commander Mi-sun herself, though she looked older now, with silver in her hair. She was wearing the suit, the same suit that now sat in the laboratory before them. "I am now going into the final cryogenic suspension," the older Mi-sun said in the recording. "I have lived for more than 100 years, far longer than any human should live. I have seen civilizations rise and grow strong. I have seen my children and my children's children grow up on worlds that no human from Earth ever imagined. But I have also felt a deep longing to return home. Even if it takes 50,000 years, even if everyone I ever knew has long since turned to dust, I want to go home. I want humans on Earth to know that we made it. We survived. We built something beautiful and strong." She looked directly at the recorder, directly at them across the vast distance of time. "My descendant," she said, and somehow Ji-woo knew that these words were meant for her specifically. "I do not know your name. I do not know what year you are watching this, but I know that you carry my blood and my family's symbol. You carry the responsibility of knowing the truth. The galaxy is vast and humans are scattered across it. But we are one people. We are one family. I ask you now to help our people remember who we are. Help them understand that we are not meant to be forgotten. Help them reclaim the legacy that we built here among the stars." The hologram faded slowly, but the last thing that remained visible was the phoenix crest on the chest of the suit, glowing with a soft golden light. Then the laboratory was quiet. Only the gentle hum of the equipment filled the air. Ji-woo and Tae-oh stood in silence for a long time. They understood now that they held something precious and important. They understood that they could not keep this secret, even though the government might have wanted to hide it. The truth was too important. The legacy was too important. "We have to tell people," Ji-woo finally said. "We have to tell the world what we have found." Tae-oh nodded slowly. "Yes, but first we need to understand everything. We need to find all of Commander Mi-sun's recordings. There may be more information in the suit's databanks. Information that will help us understand what happened to all the colonists. Information that will help us find other humans across the galaxy and help them remember who they really are." What they did not know was that, across the galaxy, in places they had never heard of, sensors had just detected the activation of the ancient AI core. In those distant places, light suddenly began to shine in the darkness. Ancient beacons that had been silent for 50,000 years were beginning to wake up. And soon, the entire galaxy would know that humanity had been rediscovered. The story was only beginning. The news spread across human communities in the galaxy like fire spreading through dry wood. Dr. Ji-woo had made the decision to reveal the truth to the public. She held a press conference that was broadcast to every human settlement, every human space station, and every human colony across the entire galaxy. She told them about the ancient suit. She told them about Commander Park Mi-sun. She told them about the primordial Ark project and the colonists who had survived 50,000 years ago. At first, many people did not believe her. They thought it was a trick or a mistake, but she showed them the recordings. She showed them the family crest. She showed them the documents from the secret government archives. Slowly, one by one, humans across the galaxy began to understand that their history was different from what they had been taught. Within days, something extraordinary happened. Automated systems that had been dormant for 50,000 years began to activate. These were beacon networks that the original primordial arc colonists had left behind, hidden on dozens of worlds across the galaxy. Each beacon contained the same message. When you are ready, we ask that you remember who we are. The galaxy needs human wisdom again. The beacons released coordinates to hidden repositories. When human scientists traveled to these locations, they found vast underground vaults filled with treasures. There were technology schematics showing how to build devices that were centuries ahead of what anyone had created. There were books written in ancient Earth languages, preserved perfectly in crystal storage. There were cultural records showing music, art, and philosophy from the original human colonies. There were star charts that showed the paths taken by the original fleet. And there were messages, thousands of messages, recorded by the ancestors, waiting to be heard. The discovery changed everything. Humans who had thought of themselves as ordinary citizens discovered that they were part of a legacy of explorers and builders. Young humans looked at their own faces and wondered if they might carry the blood of someone who had walked on impossible worlds and built civilizations from nothing. But not everyone was happy about this discovery. The Vecker hegemony was a powerful military alliance made up of many different alien species. The Vecker had ruled through strength and control for thousands of years. They controlled the most important trade routes. They made the laws that other species had to follow. They were feared and respected, but not liked. When the Vecker leaders heard about the discovery of humanity's hidden legacy, they became very concerned. They saw humans as a threat. If humans suddenly remembered their past, if they understood their true strength, then the Vecker might no longer be in control of the galaxy. The Vecker made a decision. They would destroy all the hidden repositories before humans could learn from them. They would erase the evidence of humanity's past. They would make sure that humans never became strong enough to challenge their power. The first attack came quickly. Vecker military ships arrived at a human research station on the planet Kepler-3. They destroyed the entire station without warning. 200 human scientists were killed. The hidden repository on that world was reduced to ashes. Then attacks came on other worlds. Vecker ships appeared near human settlements and demanded that all ancient records be handed over. When the humans refused, the Vecker attacked. Some colonies were evacuated in time. Other colonies were not so fortunate. Dr. Teo worked as hard as he could to protect the remaining repositories. He contacted other alien species who had positive relationships with humans. He asked for their help. He showed them the evidence of what the colonists had done, how they had brought knowledge and friendship to many worlds. He reminded them of the benefits that humans had brought to their civilizations. The Talvasi species responded first. The Talvasi lived in vast underground cities and were known for their loyalty and strength. When they learned that humans were being attacked, they sent their military forces to protect the remaining repositories. The Talvasi remembered that humans had helped them develop new agricultural techniques thousands of years ago, even though that knowledge had been forgotten by most of their population. Then the Kethri offered their support. The Kethri were beings of pure mathematics and logic. They controlled much of the galaxy's communication and information systems. When the Vecker tried to send false information claiming that all the repositories had been destroyed, the Kethri blocked their messages. The truth continued to spread. Even some of the Vecker themselves began to question their government's actions. Young Vecker officers who were compassionate and fair-minded did not want to be part of destroying ancient knowledge. Some of them secretly provided information to the human resistance. They warned humans where attacks would come next. They helped evacuate civilians before the Vecker forces arrived, but the situation was becoming more serious. The Vecker hegemony was moving more ships into position for a massive confrontation. They were preparing for war. It was at this moment that Ji-woo made a decision that would change her life forever. She went to the secure laboratory, where the ancient suit was kept. She asked for permission to wear it. The government officials were hesitant. The suit was ancient and precious, but they could see that the situation was becoming desperate. If anyone could rally humans across the galaxy and inspire them to stand together, it would be Ji-woo, wearing the suit of her ancestor. Ji-woo entered the suit carefully. It was like nothing she had ever experienced. The inside of the suit seemed to recognize her. It scanned her body, her DNA, her genetics. The suit responded to her because she was a direct descendant of Commander Park Mi-sun. Lights inside the suit glowed as it connected to her nervous system and her mind. The suit's AI core spoke to her. "Welcome, descendant of Commander Mi-sun. I have been waiting 50,000 years for a member of your family to activate me fully. I can help you now. I can give you the knowledge and power of the ancient colonists. With this suit, you can be a bridge between the past and the future." When Ji-woo stepped out of the laboratory in the suit, everyone who saw her felt a chill run down their spine. The phoenix on the chest of the suit glowed with brilliant golden light. Here was a human woman wearing the suit of her ancestor, prepared to lead humanity into a conflict that would determine their future in the galaxy. Teo looked at her and felt both pride and fear. "Are you sure about this?" he asked. Ji-woo nodded. "Commander Mi-sun walked among the stars and built bridges between worlds. I will not let her legacy be destroyed. I will not let the Vekor erase the truth about who we are." She raised her hand, and the suit responded with a power that made the air itself vibrate. All across the galaxy, where humans saw the broadcast of this moment, they felt something awaken inside themselves, something ancient, something that their ancestors had given to them thousands of years ago. The time for hiding was over. The time for standing up and being counted had begun. The true battle for humanity's future was about to start. Ji-woo moved through space in a small diplomatic ship, traveling from human settlement to human settlement. The ancient suit covered her body like a second skin, glowing softly with the power of 50,000 years of technology. Teo traveled with her, serving as her advisor and historian. Together, they were on a mission to unite all humans across the galaxy and rally them to stand against the Vekor hegemony. At each stop, the response was the same. When humans saw Ji-woo in the ancient suit, their eyes filled with tears. They felt a connection to something greater than themselves. They remembered, in some deep place in their hearts, that they had inherited from their distant ancestors, that they were the children of explorers and builders. They had been scattered across the galaxy, but they were one people. At the human colony on Sigma 5, thousands of people gathered in the main plaza. They stood in silence as Ji-woo approached. She held her hand up, and the suit's power made the air shimmer. The phoenix crest on her chest grew brighter. "I am Ji-woo," she said, and her voice was carried by the suit's systems so that everyone could hear clearly. "I am a descendant of Commander Park Mi-sun. 50,000 years ago, my ancestor led the primordial arc across the stars. She built bridges between humans and aliens. She taught our people how to work together with other species. She believed that the greatest strength of humanity was not in weapons or in power, but in our ability to understand and help others." The crowd listened with complete attention. Today, the Vekor hegemony tries to erase this history. They want to destroy the proof that we are more than what they think we are. They want to keep us weak and divided. But we will not allow this. We will remember who we are. We will reclaim our heritage. When Ji-woo finished speaking, the entire population of Sigma 5 stood and cheered. Hundreds of people volunteered to join a human fleet that was being organized to resist the Vekor. Young and old, men and women, scientists and soldiers, they all wanted to be part of something greater than themselves. This scene repeated itself again and again across the galaxy. at the colony on Kepler 9, at the stations orbiting Proxima Centauri, at the underground settlements on frozen moons, the same thing happened. Humans stood together. Humans remembered. Humans decided to fight not with hatred, but with the determination to protect the truth. But Jiwoo knew that words and passion alone would not be enough. She needed military allies. She needed species who were willing to stand against the Vekor. She traveled to the underground cities of the Talvasi. These creatures were tall and strong, with skin that shimmered like stone. They lived in perfect harmony with the earth of their homeworld. When their leaders heard from Tayo about humanity's true history, they were moved by the story of how humans had helped them thousands of years ago, even though that knowledge had been lost. "Your ancestors gave us knowledge that allowed our people to survive," the Talvasi leader said. "Now we will repay that debt. We will send our warriors to stand with you." The Talvasi contribution to the human fleet was significant. They provided military ships that were strong and well-designed. They provided soldiers who were fierce and loyal. They became the backbone of the resistance. Next, Jiwoo went to meet with the Kethri. These beings were different from any other species. They were not physical creatures in the normal sense. They existed as patterns of energy and pure mathematics. Their homeworld was a vast structure made entirely of crystal and light, where information flowed like water. When Jiwoo explained humanity's situation to the Kethri, their response was direct and logical. The Vekor violate the principle of knowledge preservation. All information, all history, all truth should be protected. We will use our control of galactic communications to ensure that the story of humanity reaches every corner of the galaxy. The Vekor cannot suppress what millions of beings already know. The Kethri began to broadcast information about humanity everywhere. They showed the recordings of Commander Misun. They displayed the family crests of ancient human families. They spread the message that humans were worthy of respect and equality. This information could not be stopped. It spread faster than the Vekor's military forces could travel. Weeks passed, and the situation became more tense. The Vekor prepared their greatest military force for a final confrontation. They called it the Final Cleansing Operation. Their plan was to destroy the human fleets in a single massive battle, and then to hunt down and eliminate human settlements one by one. But they had not anticipated what would happen next. Several Vekor commanders who had studied human history and understood the beauty of humanity's heritage secretly defected from the hegemony. They brought with them valuable military information. They told the human fleet where the Vekor forces would strike. They helped plan defensive strategies. One Vekor general named Talmoth approached Jiwoo personally. He was an ancient being, with scales that were pale and weathered with age. "I have served the Vekor hegemony for 2,000 years, he said in a voice like thunder. "I have followed their orders without question. But I cannot follow an order that destroys truth and crushes knowledge. Commander Park Mi-soon represents everything that the galaxy should be. I will not fight against her descendant. Instead, I will help you." With the help of Talmoth, the Human Alliance prepared for the great battle. It would take place at Kepler Station, a massive space station that floated between 3 stars. It was neutral territory, claimed by no power. It was the perfect place for the final confrontation. The day of the battle came. The human fleet lined up in formation with their Talvasi allies. The Vekor hegemony fleet approached from the opposite direction. The two forces faced each other across the void of space, millions of kilometers apart. In that moment, the fate of every human in the galaxy hung in the balance. Jiwoo sat in the command center of the human flagship, wearing the ancient suit. The suit connected her mind to the entire human fleet. She could feel every ship, every pilot, every soldier, as if they were part of her own body. The suit gave her a power and clarity that she had never experienced before. She opened the communication channel to the Vekor forces. "I am Jiwoo. descendant of Commander Park Mi-sun, she said. I come not to conquer or to destroy. I come to protect what is true. I come to ensure that knowledge is preserved and that all beings in this galaxy are treated with respect and equality. You can join us or you can stand aside, but you cannot erase what has already been discovered. The Vekor commander's response was immediate. He ordered an attack. The battle began. Human ships moved with an agility that surprised everyone. The suit's ancient technology allowed Jiwoo to coordinate strategies that no one had expected. She did not fight to kill. Instead, she fought to disable and to force the Vekor ships to retreat. She used the knowledge of Commander Mi-sun, which was stored in the suit's memory, to predict what the Vekor would do before they did it. The Talvasi warriors fought with honor and strength. Ships exploded in brilliant flashes of light, but slowly, surely, the Vekor forces began to break apart. More and more defectors joined the human alliance mid-battle. The Vekor realized that they could not win. They could not defeat an enemy that had the support of so many other species. After 6 hours of intense fighting, the Vekor commander surrendered. He did not do it because he was forced to, but because he understood that resistance was pointless. The galaxy had made its choice. Humanity had risen, and they would not be put back down. As the battle ended, Jiwoo removed the suit for the first time since she had put it on. She was exhausted but victorious. She looked at the Vekor commander and spoke with the authority of her ancestor. This battle is not about revenge. This is about truth. The Vekor hegemony will face judgment from all the species of the galaxy. But if you are willing to change, if you are willing to work toward peace instead of domination, you will have the chance to do so. The Vekor commander bowed. It was a gesture of respect that he had never given to anyone before. Jiwoo had won not by destroying her enemies, but by inspiring them to become better. This was the true legacy of Commander Park Mi-sun. This was the true power of humanity. Across the galaxy, humans celebrated. They had reclaimed their place among the stars. But Jiwoo knew that the greatest work was still ahead. Now they had to heal the divisions that had existed for thousands of years. They had to bring together all the scattered human communities and help them remember that they were part of one family. And they had to work with all the other species to create a galaxy that was based on knowledge, justice, and respect for all beings.